would actually go through the process of practicing Dharma. You have to already be aware that you're quite crazy. Most people do not want to acknowledge that they're already nuts. Or that they're dying. So there's lots of things that you'd much rather not notice, that I say out loud. Chuku kunduzong bogomboe dorji sempagarab dorji dang shere singe bardu shin lapde de damab zantata tusum chi Dzogchen jupe lama la solwa deb again pema junela solwa deb dorji chang shitila narodang marpa mila gopotatapa na pupadang palden drupa so Kargulama namla solwa deb Ochen lama namla solwa deb Druchen lama namla solwa deb Kaginu adi lamba namla solwa deb Shakya lama namla solwa deb Nyendu da yundran lama namla solwa deb Pandu Zhangdang Yerme Pa Gungarab Dorji Jintrak Pa Jetidang Nisume Pai Palamanam Chetente Chong That was important. Remember we talked about supplicating the Lama, as this text refers to it? Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga is refuge. Your guru is simply, you come over here or something so you can, you're gonna give yourself a neck crick. We should put an aisle here for people rather than.
I didn't see it when I.
Yeah, no, go back where you were. Or now move your chair that way. Move your chair that way. Not that far, but
Okay.
Just now pull that chair over. Pull it towards you. There we go. Now, someone can come and sit there if they want to, but they're not going to be going like this. Back row, you also may wish to shift that away just a little so that you can be comfortable.
Thank you.
Yes, I tell you to stop poking at your perceived reality and trying to fix it, but that does not mean abandon common sense when it's such an easy fix. Happy medium. Find the midline. The whole point of this is not to compulsively be continually poking. Reach forward, move this 2 inches that away. Good. You're actually gonna be okay, or you can come up further. Or you two move over.
Lama, could you move the bump a little bit that direction?
Let's do this. The thing is that I keep seeing y'all trying to quietly make your adjustment without actually making it. You see what I mean? Are you got a place?
I think I'm gonna go there.
Okay. Yeah, next time if we use this space again, we'll leave the path here so that the camera doesn't cause a problem. And then people could go like this and make a zigzag. The thing is, it is important not to have your neck like this. Otherwise, you're going to find some nice conspiracy theory on the internet, and there you go. Really, it makes you prey to those things. Peculiar ideation. The internet is full of it. Maybe over here. Give it a try.
I'll go there so I'm not in front of them.
You're right between them if you sit down there. Besides, they can move slightly. Okay, you all gonna be comfortable without twerking your necks? Because not neck twerking is actually important. And there are chairs up here for those of you who like sitting in the back but can't see, if you prefer to see. Otherwise, you can listen. Posture matters. There's a lot in this text, all about how to, all these little bits of how to make it easy. That's important. It's not what the text is about. But when you add them all up together, they make what the text is about accessible. And what the text is about is middle way. You've heard these words about Buddhism. Lack of extremes. You can go too far into Bodhisattva so that all you do is sit there, wring your hands, cry, and drag little old ladies across the street whether they wanted to go or not. That is possible, and people have fallen in there. You can go so far into shunyata that you don't care about anything and think you're enlightened because you no longer care. Oops. Have a nice life as a rock for a few centuries. Or one of the gods of samadhi. There's all these falling into extremes accidents. And all the teacher really does is just helping you pat it back to the midline. And that's what this text is about, finding the midline. You don't go to the extreme of intellect where everything is an idea. Nor do you throw away ideas, reject them, and say they're bad. Without the idea to be here, you wouldn't have come. So there are useful ideas if by chance you're finding being here useful. In all of this, in how much to poke your external reality. If you have a pain here and you're all sweaty and feel terrible and doomish and depressed, yes, poke, take it to the ER. You really don't want to go to the ER? Go like this and see if the pain goes away. Sometimes your bra's too tight. So, check it out. If it's positional, it's probably not cardiac. Cardiac doesn't change when you take your bra off or stretch and, move things. I got called in as a paramedic to a doctor's office for the chest pain. and simply removed the corset.
Yep.
All better. I was a paramedic for a long time. The point I'm making is there is a right amount to poke at what you think is going on in your supposedly external reality, and a too much to poke. Too much to poke. You can't sit still because there's always one more thing on your to-do list. And if you ever by chance completely finish your to-do list, what's the first thing you do? Sit down with a pencil and paper and write out another one. Yes, I did that once. Never again did I attempt to finish my to-do list. It's futile. You may have to learn that experientially. How do you find the midpoint? There is a midpoint in meditation where you're not so focused that you're tranced out and you have an accident like Saraha did 12 years in Shine. It's one of the old stories. You can read about it in the texts. Conversely, you don't want to be so unfocused that you can't
Function.
sit and relax for some period of time without dweebling at yourself. You all familiar with what I mean by dweebling at yourself? You know, y'all do it. We do it. So the key here is going to be finding the midline. It's not a single point. It's moving. It's a dynamic, flexible balance point. It's not the same moment to moment. It is the experience caused by practice that will allow you to develop the skill of balancing dynamically in the midpoint. And everything else is tools to make it easier, tools to use in practice when it's leaning one way or another. The next point in the text. If you're leaning into dullness and drowsiness, we'll see a lot of that right after lunch. Because when you're full of carbs, you tend to go that way. Everybody does. So when that happens, there's a method that does not, well, I like Rinpoche's method. What flower do I know?
Wangdor Rinpoche's method?
Yeah, here. This is a sweet pea. It'll work. They're not poisonous. You just need to use a non-poisonous plant. He always liked juniper for this. When you get too drowsy, wakes you up right away.
Could you show us again?
Juniper works really good because it's got such a nice wake-up scent.
Thank you. I think
Lavender doesn't work as well. You've got juniper growing somewhere near you. So that's not in the text. That's in the oral teachings, that method. I think it works great because it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
Works even better if there's ice cubes in the water. In the text, visualize a letter Ah. That's a Tibetan Ah. Google Tibetan A, and it'll show you a picture of what it's supposed to look like. You all have cell phones. The shape is important. I am not convinced that a Western A works. I am not sure where's the baby and where's the bathwater in that visualization, so I'll stick to the traditional thank you.
Is that just the ah or the ah with the 5-colored tigre?
Just the Ah.
Just the ah. Thank you.
You put it in a tiggly, but don't mess with colors. It's in a transparent tiggly, like they look when you first see them, before before they resolve the colors. Put it in a sphere of light. Yeah, okay, here's what they look like. Except the whole thing's transparent, no blue. Put it in your heart chakra, and it should be about this big. Your hand, not my hand. I have small hands. So if you're a big guy with big hands, your little sphere is going to be a little bit bigger. Your heart chakra is not where you pledge allegiance to the flag. Your heart chakra is right behind your xiphoid process, if you want to point with one finger, but it's at least the size of the palm of your hand. And that's just the middle of it. It doesn't have, the chakras don't have the kind of borders that bubbles have. It fuzzes out to eternal infinity. But mostly when you start thinking of it and thinking of where it is, you can think of a palm size for chakras. Anyway, it's right back, it's in here. Right in the middle of it, you put the ah. Transparent bubble, eyes transparent. As you breathe, remember your mouth is open. Breathing through mouth, not closing off the nose. You can tell if you try to talk whether the nose is closed inside or not. Nose is open, but breathing mostly through mouth. So you inhale, it's in the heart chakra. As you exhale, it goes up your channel, out through the crown of your head, about the length of your forearm, above. So leave it there about a forearm. Most of you don't do archery, so the length of an arrow, which the text says won't mean diddly squat. So, and also Tibetan arrows are relatively long. Not like crossbow arrows. So it's about up here. Put your shoulder at your head. So, and your ah is there. Ah is volition. Speech chakra. Om. The form, the shape taken by all Buddhas throughout the time-space continuum. Ah, the intent of all Buddhas to be Buddhas. The culmination of the union of path and actualization throughout the four times. The isness beyond concept. And the stories in union with the stories of how it came to be. The stories are important. They're not real, but they are important. You wouldn't like it without a story. The best part of the teachings for the audience is the stories. You love your stories. So the story of how you get from being an idiot to being an enlightened idiot is really important to you. Think of it if I would just go poof zap, and there you were all perfectly enlightened without a single story to tell about it. Yeah. The stories are not real. They didn't really happen the way of the story. But they're important. Real and important are not the same thing. Unicorns are important. We need an example of something which does not bother you. That does not make them real. It's the not being real that is important. So if you're falling asleep and you don't happen to have any water or juniper nearby, you can try this with the ah. Questions on the technique?
Did you just leave the ah there?
For a while. Or you can let it come back in as you breathe in and then put it back up as you breathe out. You can move it up and down a few times. Depending on what's needed. Once you're awake, go back to the... Once you've got the back off using the special little wrench, put the wrench down. Now you want the soldering iron. Sorry, you can tell how old I am from the old tube sets I used to repair. I don't think it's a soldering iron anymore. Everything's solid state. You want the plug-in that you're changing for the other plug-in. But to be able to pick that up, you need to put that specialized wrench that you got the back off with down.
Should you give it like depth or character or anything, or keep it kind of like two-dimensional? Or...
It's made of light. It's transparent. It's in a bubble which has depth. More than that, and you're focusing on the wrong details. That's about enough as far as if you want to give it a lot of tangibleness. Remember that it's made of light and that it's transparent. And it's in a tiggly, not a bubble. Tigglies look like bubbles.
Did you say that it to shoot it up through the central channel?
Yes.
Okay, I was writing it, so yeah.
And not so much shoot as exhale.
But send it up, like visualize it
So-
up, or breathe it up.
I would probably bring it up a few times and then not bring it down, but let it descend with the inhale. There's a relaxation of descent and an effort of putting up in this one. Suppose you have the other problem. You're agitated and can't shut up. It also happens. You know, all of you sit and meditate in some form at some point, I'm going to guess. So you have the experience of sometimes you're just... and sometimes you're... it's either extreme. So these are methods to help you get to the midpoint. When it happens that you're too agitated, too bouncy, if you can, go outside. Put your back to the sun, and although it's not in the text, this is a safety issue, put your head in the shadow. Your head must never be in sunlight while meditating. Many practices cause the iris of your eyeballs to dilate as a side effect. Should the sun fall upon your eyes while they are dilated, you will damage your eyeballs. Hats, at least. Shading. But this is, you want to do it, put your back to where the sun is. So you want to face west in the morning and east in the evening, never south. Sun behind you, your shadow falling in front of you. Hat at a minimum, but I would say sit under a tree. I say this so strongly because I was the medic up in my cave for many years. And the number of yogis I treated for eye accidents in the Indian sun. And we were at altitude, and altitude sun is even more so. And then many years later, the number of yogis I took to have their cataracts removed surgically. It's a problem. You would just as soon not have, so please don't put your head in the sun while practicing. I don't care if you want to take a walk in the sun with your head. But if you're meditating, it really does sometimes dilate or pin your eyes, depending on this. Is side effects that happen with many, many practices.
Why never south?
The sun's to the south, we're to the north, equator's down south. You'll always have a little bit, because the sun doesn't go directly left, east to west. It's southeast to southwest, so like this. So it's either getting in this eye or it's getting in this eye.
Would dark glasses help?
No, because they interfere with things. And again, quality of your dark glasses. Are they polarized? They will help at high altitude, and I would advise them to be worn in daily life at high altitude. Although you won't get a Tibetan to do it because dark glasses are for old people. Somebody's got to go in there and do the trendy with it.
Lama Lena, I've never looked in a mirror when I'm practicing trecho. When we're practicing trecho and our eyes are unfocused, our eyes...
They'll frequently dilate. You will know this because you get the whiteout. Sometimes when you're practicing trekja, everything goes fuzzy and turns like bright white. That's a really dilated eyeball. That's what it looks like. If you ever get eye drops where they dilate it to look inside, and then they give you these really dark glasses to wear for a few hours, it's a common experience for eye exams. You'll notice that resembles the whiteout in some ways. The whiteout is a nyam. You all know nyams, meditative experiences. It's a signpost that you're getting the eye focus right. But it isn't important in and of itself. So, back to this again. When you're agitated, back to the sun. You want to be sitting high enough that, see, this is in Tibet, it's not buildings everywhere, it's rolling plains, and you just go out of the tent in calm. So you're going to have to modify this for here and go on the roof, or take your car and drive to a hill, or go down by the sea, but not like boardwalk sea. Go a ways out of town for sea. What you want is to have the sky right in front of you. I talked about this yesterday, so this practice that is in the text, same difference. Relax your eyes into the center of open space. Let the breath become more gentle unless you feel the need to yawn. If you experience the need to yawn, you've let the breath go too gentle. These are all balancing tricks. So if you need to yawn, your breath is too gentle, increase it. If you don't need to yawn, let it go as gentle as is comfortable and not distracting. Don't try to stop breathing. Again, out breath longer than in breath. Shallow, but down into here. Let there be a pause at the end of the exhalation before bringing in the inhalation. Do not make the pause too long. How can you tell it's too long? It's causing discomfort. It should be a comfortable pause for as long as it is within the boundary of comfort. But if you're experiencing air hunger, you pause too long. Shorten it. Don't do anything else. Don't do anything with your mind. The is what is called realization of the threefold space. Inner, outer, and neither. Arises. You can't make it do that. There is nothing you can do mentally to cause this to happen except relax and let go. This is an instance where poking it and trying to get the realization is extremely counterproductive. Follow the breathing instructions. Follow the eye gaze instructions. So that's body, what you're doing with your eyeballs. Keeping your head in shadow or with the hat on, facing away from the sun, but out into spaciousness, not towards a building. You don't want anything in front of you. I'm not sure where you go to get that to the east if you want to try this in the afternoon. You might manage with it to the north. I don't know if you've got mountains to the north or not. So around here, this is easier to do in the morning facing the sea. Even on a cloudy day, do not face the sun. Do you understand these two practices to do with agitation and sleepiness or dullness?
With the awe and the breath, the inhale is up, exhale is down,
Mm-hmm.
other way.
Other way.
Other way.
Oh,
Sort of counterintuitive.
Inhale, it comes in. Exhale, it goes out.
yeah, that's different, okay.
There's practices that are just the opposite. They don't, that's one of the reasons why you kind of have to take each one by itself and not mix them. Questions on, yes?
I have a question about the awe, the orientation, because I'm used to looking at the representation of the awe.
Nowhere have I ever found a Tibetan who even understands that question to answer it for me. Lama Lakshmi, you might try and see what he says. I have never heard that question from any of my Tibetan students.
It's an oddity of my own mind.
No, it's an oddity of your culture.
'Cause I just don't know if I visualize it in the same orientation as when I'm looking at it, or if I visualize it as if
I'm
what
looking
at
and I
is-
think that mine faces forwards.
But the question also is, where are we as we visualize it? Are we visualizing ourselves?
Yes,
Is it
I'm,
at our-
because it's in my heart chakra and it goes up my channel.
Okay, so we're kind of outside.
So I'm in my body,
Mhm.
looking forth. So I have my like this, facing this way.
So you're sort of like looking from behind it. So it's, yeah.
But I'm not, because I'm everywhere at once.
Right. It is.
Because it's my visualization. And I think that is the assumption, that one is both in one's body and everywhere at once, because it's one's own visualization that keeps that from being something relevant to a Tibetan.
Thank you, thank you.
However, if we all want to have fun next time, Lama, is it Lakshmi? Lakshi. Next time Lama Lakshi's up, try that one on him.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a little semantic question, but it's been in my mind since I first wrote a Guru Yoga little prayer according to this text. And I started out by saying, I invoke the blessings and realizations of the Lama. And then I thought, that's sort of presumptuous and strong. And then I
Why?
changed it to, I supplicate. Seems more.
Whichever is more
humble.
comfortable for you.
Either way.
Well, if you've got the three skies, which is what I'm talking about, what did I call it? Threefold sky,
The three spaces.
the threefold space.
then-
You are the Lama. There's the inside, the outside, and the neither nor.
Mhm.
If you do this practice, you might actually find out what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
But there's nothing I can say about it that will lead you to know what I'm talking about. You just got to do it.
Mhm.
The taste of chocolate. If you've never had chocolate, there is no way I can tell you about it. You gotta taste some. There's a couple of other practices in here. This session, this morning session, is all about, I'm coming to you, different practices. You had a question on the one I just gave?
So, for example, if we adopt this as a daily practice and say traveling at the hotel and there is no opportunity to go somewhere where it's the sky, is there any
Go up
way
on the roof.
at the hotel?
Yeah.
Well,
Most hotels will let you get up to the roof.
so does it have to be on the roof though? So it sounds like
No,
there's
you're
nothing-
looking in the wrong place. You're picking at little nidlets that aren't real. You need to face away from the sun where there is not stuff in front of you, but the sky is straight ahead. How you do that is entirely up to you.
Is this a main practice or remedy for
No,
doing
this is a remedy.
Okay.
This is only if you're too agitated to settle.
Okay.
Just as the is not a daily practice. It's only when you're falling asleep on the cushion. The main practice is trekcha. The daily practice is trekcha. These are cute little tools to help you refine your trekcha. They are not instead of gom. Second word of Garib Dorji, at all times and on all occasions, notice the already known Dharmakaya nature of mind. They go with gom because gom does not work well without also having on the cushion sessions. It distorts. What you glance at if you never actually sit with your channels in alignment and refresh, if you never reboot your device, what happens after a while?
Too much.
Yeah, it stops working, the screen freezes. So in the same way, you have to reboot your trekcha by spending a goodly time on the cushion where things go wrong. You can't settle. You just had a fight with your partner, you can't settle. You've been working too hard. You didn't get enough sleep last night. You keep dozing off. So here are 2 tools for when that happens in the session, because you should be making a session on the cushion every day, and you should not be expecting to grow out of that while you are still there. Important. If you're there, keep practicing. If you suspect you might not be there, keep practicing. So these are all just tools you use for these 2 were for on the cushion, including when you're too damn agitated to even get on the cushion. Go out, find a long view with the sun behind you. Make sure your head's in shade. And do this. Yes.
The rhythm, so I'm doing this breath breathing, and I'm outside and I'm walking and the sun's behind me.
Mm-mm. You're sitting outside.
I'm sitting.
Sit down, don't walk.
Alright. So I would like one where you're walking, if you have one.
No. You want a walking meditation, Gom. Or any of the tantras. My favorite walking meditation is to go out into, away from people and sing manis to the bugs. That is a perfect walking meditation, and it will benefit your trekcha better than anything I'm going to come up with in here about patting it back into being in the medium line. Because it will keep you from falling into nihilism if you do that.
Just to clarify, in your practice you're saying you're visualizing the facing out, but because of a more omnipresent awareness, you're still perceiving the as we normally
I'm
see it
perceiving
painted.
the both ways, always. From over there too, from the side.
Okay.
That's a skill that you will learn as you continue to practice, not being in a singular location.
Yeah,
We do a
'cause-
lot of work in dream time to try to knock you out of singularity.
Because I've always received teachings of trying to visualize the as if one is behind. That's always been difficult.
Then you do it that way. That, if you have to put a place on it, then do it that way. Unless you're doing the on a stick in front of you, which is a different practice. Or the visualized on the visualized stick in front of you, which is a different practice. And one of the Semzent. I think it's in one of Norbu Rinpoche's books. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, if you must be located, which actually you don't must, you just think you must. Yes, for this practice, I would locate as if I were more or less behind the if I was going to locate. I don't usually bother. It's effortful to be in a place and a time and just occupy only one point. You got to really scrunch yourself. Why would you want to do that? Anyway, more tools coming. There's a lot of tools in here. And it's not all in the book. I'm giving you the bits that are in the oral instruction. The book is just, you get a copy and then you can remember it. But it's not all in there. It never is. That's why you can't learn this stuff from books.
I saw that you're using, what is it? The Crystal book, which is out of print.
Crystal
Cave.
No.
Crystal Cave is out of print?
As far as I know, the last time I looked, it's been out of print for a long time. They have,
Check on Amazon. You can often get it secondhand.
I've looked all over, but some of the stuff has been redone in other books by Ramchung Yeshe.
Yeah, so see if that's out there. If not, you can have my copy.
As part of another. I think I have it in a book,
You have it in something?
Flight of the Garuda by Eric Pema Kunzong, and they have some other texts in the back. And I think this one, the Carefree Vagrant, the Dzogchen key points,
Okay.
is in that, but that was never in print for everybody. That was something you only could get once you had direct introduction.
If you're having trouble getting a copy here,
Mhm.
it's said to anybody, I'll leave this. It's just a Xerox. It's a little fuzzy.
Is that Crystal Cave?
Yeah.
What is,
This
okay.
is out of Crystal Cave.
Okay.
I'd rather, you were kind to the author and bought a copy, but if they don't have it anymore, you can't do that.
Right.
I'm into kindness to living authors.
Might we take that copy? How many pages is it?
3 or 4.
And make copies for whoever might want a copy?
Yes, but try to buy it first, guys. It's not that expensive if it is
So we
available.
support the Dharma.
Well, you gotta, it's the translators.
Mhm.
You really enjoy having all this stuff in English. Every time you get something off of Lotsawa House, send an offering. Those guys gotta eat. I say the same when I'm doing online, and even now, you guys online, if you're listening to this in a language other than English, send an offering to the translator. Translators gotta eat. Otherwise, they're too busy working their day job to translate. And then you're up Schitt's Creek, guys. So please support your translators. They are, if you don't speak the language that your teacher speaks, or a teacher you want to listen to speaks, as important to you as your teacher.
One of our translators mentions that he has the Crystal Cave as a PDF. So,
Excellent.
Yay for trans?
If you get a copy from, who has it as a PDF?
Martin,
Okay, if you get a copy from Martin, I want you to go make some offerings
yeah, he's our Spanish translator.
to not only Martin, who translated this,
Eric Pema Kunzong, I think.
but also to Eric Pemakunzing. Go send him some money. PayPal.
Rangjung Yeshe Publications.
So, Nyando, you got that? Rangjun Yeshi Publications, Eric Pemakunzing?
Yes.
That should be, if anyone does that, Martin should send that so that they can make an offering to the translator. And yes, you should also make an offering to Martin, who's helping you with this.
That should be on the Donna page.
Martin's on the
the
Donna
website.
page, but Eric Pemakunzing isn't.
Right.
You're gonna have to find how to do that yourself. He's not on my website's Donna page. All the translators that sometimes work and the people that run groups, all the people who do work in the Dharma have a Donna button up there.
Him or Rangjung Yeshe Publications would probably have a.
Yeah, they
way to
should have a
connect
Donna
to
button.
him if he's still alive.
Yes.
He is. I think he's in Northern California somewhere.
No, he's in Denmark.
He's in Denmark now? Okay, cool.
They move on.
Thank you.
So since you know how to find him,
I could. I don't.
no,
Yeah.
maybe you could help people find his Donna button.
Oh. Or Gomde could do that.
Oh, Gomde.
Gomde could help find his
That's
Donna.
Chukinimas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, somehow or other, I really want to encourage all of you to make offerings to the back-end workers that make things possible. This is why I say the center made it possible for this teaching. I would have happily taught it to you, but where? My living room isn't big enough. So make offerings to the center. Don't beggar yourself making offerings. It's not the rent that you use. It's the extra pizza. And if you are a starving student, go make some beautiful stationery with pressed flowers and some paper you had in the back room. Package it up pretty and send it to them. Okay? It doesn't have to be money, it's just money's the easiest thing to send internationally and roundabout. Okay, enough on that. I'll get off my soapbox. And teach you another bit. When you rest in naturalness, that's what Trekchö is actually, naturalness. With your body in the lotus posture, don't dwell on your perception. Okay, this is put very nicely. I'm going to actually read you the paragraph. Rest in naturalness with your body in the sevenfold posture. Don't dwell on whatever is perceived, but rest in the empty quality while focusing your gaze freely and easily in total openness, transcending outside, inside, and middle. By doing this, the realization of emptiness, of space-like emptiness, will occur. Okay, what they meant by that. Follow all the instructions, including let go of point focus. But then don't grab letting go of point focus. Okay? Follow the instructions and then let go. Perceptions are a clump, a writhing clump, moving, changing. Think of it as a writhing clump of worms, all of your sensory sensations with your naming and labeling on top of them, with the story you tell about the whys and wherefores on top of that, with your feelings about the story you told about the whys and wherefores of the sensations on top of that. And it's moving. That's a perception. Don't grab it. Don't try to hold it still. Don't try to perceive emptiness. Let go. Your perceptions are empty. They're a clump, an aggregate of empty, transparent, non-real phenomena. You made up the stories of the whys and wherefores. The sensations are just little itches spontaneously arising out of your karma. They cause you, the physical sensations cause you to locate yourself in your body, instead of recognizing that that's not real either. Are any of you absolutely certain in this moment that you're not dreaming? Let us, just for shits and grins for a moment, assume that you are. This is your dream. You're making it up. You're making me up.
Pretty cool.
Me, Lama Chitso.
It's ironic that you said that because I was just thinking and I wanted to ask, isn't this vision that I'm having just all about my karma?
You make it so, but you don't have to. Because You don't have karma. You yourself are a clump of critters. And the worms make the decisions just as much as the neurons. So, a poor man, a homeless guy with no money, has a yeast overgrowth causing sugar cravings. He steals a donut. Who gets the karma of the theft, the guy or the yeast? Because they don't all die at the same time and reincarnate together. Okay, y'all clumpers? So you're clumps perceiving clumps. There is no location there. Let go. I could shout this at you forever. But this is the method by which you transcend inside, outside, and middle. And you need to dislocate. You need to let go of your obsession with occupying a single point in the time-space continuum, because you can't. And it's really stressing you to try. Look at all your stress trying to maintain that single point that you think is you, and get people to like it and respect it and pay it money. And then you decorate it. Why? Let go. It doesn't go away when you let go. You just stop stressing about it when you let go. Attempting to maintain that, which unfortunately Westerners for some reason think is what they call mindfulness meditation, which is just another attempt to maintain that in an approved way. No, guys. Use the techniques to assist you in letting go. That's what they're for. Perfect Clarity is a new version of Crystal Cave. Came through in chat.
If I remember right, I have it at home, and I remember.
Check and see if this is in there.
Some of the translations are the same. I think as the practitioners got more experienced in Trutchode and had more teachers giving them direct introduction, they released and made things more public.
Yeah, it used to be really hard to get this. Private printing and all that. They wouldn't give it to me. I had to have somebody go sneak it for me.
I had to wait until I got the direct introduction from Chagdu Rinpoche. Then he said, well, you may go to the bookstore now and get certain restricted books.
Yeah, Rinpoche said to me, well, if you can get it, you're welcome to have it. But I am not participating in this craziness of wanting letters from teachers. That's not how we do it. That's your Inji trip. So I had to get somebody else who had a teacher who liked writing letters. I know, I never did understand why he did that, but that's okay. I don't have to understand why he did things. So this is going to be fairly important. Let me just check that one, yes. And then, yes. We're not running late. Here's another method. First, sit in your normal way. Do everything as already instructed at the beginning of the text. Mouth a little open, eyes unfocused and balanced. Get into Trekchö that way, then get up and lie down in the starfish position. Lying on your back, legs spread, arms spread. I call it the starfish position. There may be some other words for it. Do not let the sun shine on your head while you do this. Your eyes are facing the sky. They should not see the sun. Okay, so this is something you can do early in the day and late in the day, but not around noon.
Could you do it indoors?
No. Facing the sky. Once you're good at it, maybe. But train facing the sky. So the sun should have dropped behind that tree over there or that house over there. Or not have come up from there, and yet you're lying out in the middle of the backyard doing the starfish. First, you sit and enter trekcha. Then, without abandoning trekcha, you get up and go starfish.
Mm-hmm.
Exclaim, ha! Forcefully 3 times while in the starfish position.
What is that syllable?
H-A.
Oh, ha. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Ha! Do it hard. Then do not do anything at all. Do not think. Do not withhold yourself from thought. Do not focus. Do not withhold yourself from focus. We don't have a word for it. It's not a perception. It's not a realization. It's not a recognition, maybe, is closer, of dharmata can occur from this practice. Will it occur the first time you try it? Maybe. Will you grab it the first time it occurs? Yeah. And then you put it down. And then you start right back at the beginning again. Sit in trekcha. Do you understand that these are all just different methods that can each of them be done when circumstances permit? I would never do this method, starfish, on a cloudy day that I couldn't see where the sun was. I'd consider it too dangerous. Now, I'm used to practicing at altitude, where you will get through the clouds a retinal sunburn, and you can go blind from that. And many Tibetans go blind in old age with macular degeneration. It's common.
So in starfish, your eyes are open.
Yep, just like in trekcha. Open and pointed straight ahead from your head, which is now lying down, so they're pointed at the sky.
Okay.
Do not chase the tiglies around the sky. Do not get all distracted and play with the rika, the little fast little buzzy ones. Just don't do anything.
And just lay there relaxed in trekcha?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But don't grab trekcha.
Mm-hmm. just stay there in that.
Because Trekcha is not what you think it is. What you think it is a thought about Trekcha. Here's another way of saying it. Don't dwell or mentally grasp emptiness. Rest in the non-grasping, self-aware perception. Oh God, these words are wrong. But it's not the translator's fault. The realization of utterly insubstantial and unfixed perception will occur, except it's not a perception, and it's not a realization. It is utterly insubstantial and unfixed. But take the nouns out, because it isn't a thingy. And yes, there were nouns used in the Tibetan too. So don't blame that one on the translator. It's just that here we are using words in a language. And even the Tibetan language, which is very beautiful and able to express certain things, which doesn't have words, only phrases and syllables that go around each other. It's like half Sanskrit, half Chinese, so it's not as linear as pure Sanskrit, because it sort of spheres, it goes, Chinese is Mandarin anyway, which is the only one I have spoken any part of, is a non-linear language. You have a core idea and other ideas that modify it to become the idea you're talking about. Tibetan is half that way, but they do put it in a line. Kamke, and I think Golok also is tonal, like Chinese. Sanskrit is not tonal. The reason I mention languages is because it's the only tool we have. They say the human realm is defined by the ability to communicate abstract concepts in a language with each other. Doesn't say that the language has to be audio. Are octopi talking abstracts when they make those colors? If so, we call them human. We are Homo sapiens, a particular category among humans, just as Nagas are a particular category among humans, although they are aquatic and haven't been seen around here lately. So, language is what we have. Imperfect as it is, it can only point. And no, I'm not explaining that again. You've all seen it before with explanations. These instructions are profound methods, but they are methods, they are tab, which the method causes an experience to take place. When you have trained yourself not to grasp the experience, it can be transcended. The reality is behind it. These methods give you profound nyams. Signposts. Do not grab the signpost. If you see the sign that says boardwalk 10 kilometers that way, and you stop and you park under it, you will never reach the boardwalk. You'll just have the sign that has the word boardwalk on it. Please don't do that with the experiences that these practices give you. Enjoy them. Do not reject them. Do not grasp them. This is important. In Trekcha, we learn to strike these signpost experiences with the seed syllable pet. Should you get an experience with these methods, for example, a realization of non-conceptual dharmata, a realization of the threefold space or sky, a realization of space-like emptiness, both inside and outside, a realization of utterly insubstantial and unfixated perception, a realization that is like a wave dissolving in water, liberated with neither support nor fixation. If this occurs, do not attempt to keep it. Maintain it. Grab it. And please do not talk to yourself or me about it. It doesn't bother me that much if you talk to me about it. I'll just go, The problem is when you talk to yourself about it, you squish it. All you're left with is a description. Anybody here like wine? So you're familiar with all those descriptions of what the wine's going to taste like after you buy it? Those descriptions are not nearly as satisfying as tasting the wine. Yes?
These nyams that come in Trek Show, I guess I struggle to understand. I guess the answer is not to do anything with them, but they are for me anyway. They are a somatic feeling. They have a sensory component.
Yeah. Allow them to encourage you to keep practicing because they have been fun.
Okay.
That's the useful thing you can do with a nyam.
Okay.
Take from it encouragement.
Because I've not reified them in terms of bringing them in, wanting them. I've wanted to kind of get rid of them in a way because they're impermanent, and I'm thinking they're not. I shouldn't.
No, don't get rid of them.
Okay.
They are very good encouragements to keep practicing. You may celebrate them, but don't stop. Don't grab, but also don't shove. They are, if you were a species that could only look down, or an old man who was so bent that he could only look down, he couldn't look even straight ahead, and he really wanted to see the moon. To see the moon in a mud puddle, reflected, in a clear and unagitated mud puddle, would still let him perceive the beauty of the moon, even though it's not really the moon. So all of these experiences will show you the beauty of the practice and encourage you to keep going. The trick is you can't try to keep them, or they will block you from the next step beyond. They point, they don't ring. But don't reject them. Don't try to stop them. If they get stuck, And generally, the ones that get stuck are either blissful or clarity, wisdoms. If they stay and do not show a sign of passing along in their own good time, then you may hit them with pet. But only if they appear to be stuck. This is the instructions for if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him quickly. That old Zen koan.
Mm-hmm.
Pet is what you kill him with. You see, your lumpishness is experiencing a clump. Your clumpishness experiences a clump which reflects the nature of nameless, George, whatever. I don't even want to stick a title on it. If your clump reflects that, your clump is that, and then there ceases to be a difference between the clump that you perceive and the clump that's perceiving, and then that is. Did that make any sense at all to anybody?
Yeah.
Because that's the last step past Nyam into what's called isness, but that's just another word like George. I tend to call it George. Just because it's not so highfalutin. Don't reject your nyams. You need nyams. You wouldn't do this if you didn't get nyams. Would you? If you weren't getting any experiences, you'd go find another teacher who could give you all these nice, sparkly, shiny experiences. Don't reject them. They're not bad. The trick is not to get stuck in them and not to train yourself to maintain them. The problem is you can maintain them. They cause rebirth in the God realms. That is not freedom. You're still a clump in a clumpish place. It's a little bit more diffused, a clumpish place than around here. Less, solidity to stub your toes on. But you're still a clump. And as such, eventually the karma of that wears off, and then you clump somewhere else. In a place maybe with even more stuff to stub your toes on. Like the Hell Realms or the Predator Realms. Yes.
Do you have one with the moon? You were saying you had to have the sun to do some of these.
And not that, no. No, you don't have to have the sun.
Oh, good.
The sun should be behind something. You're not looking at the sun. Are you following?
Yes, I'm in my backyard. I'm in a star. Could it be at night with the moon?
The moon needs to be behind something. It's too bright. You don't want to be letting your eyes dilate that much going directly onto the polarized moonlight. The stars will probably distract you, but give it a try. See if you can settle your gaze between the stars. There's enough light pollution down here that there will be between the stars spaces.
So I have a question about nyams. If you get like super consistent ones every time you practice, I think at one previous session you said that there comes a point where meditation on the cushion and meditation off the cushion become very similar. Does that mean that we should aspire or at least aim for a point where we don't get nyams anymore, or?
No, because you'd be aiming for a point.
Okay.
and I'm trying to get you to let go of your pointiness. When that happens, it's a common experience. Yes, it's nyam. Though you know how you'll find out? You'll stop sitting on the cushion because you don't need to anymore. There's no difference. And in about 6 months, it'll wear off. And then you're going to be all fucked up. Well, you didn't wear off. What'd I do wrong? And you're going to go find your teacher crying. At least that was my experience the first time I did that. So when you have that experience, keep sitting on the cushion. And if something appears stuck, hit it with pet. We are so creative in how we will fool ourselves to maintain ourselves as a pointy clump and not let go, because of the terror of dissipating into all and everything. And all I can say to you about that is, no, you're still there. Clumpishness, pointy clumpishness, goes away, but you're still there. You just aren't a pointy. No, that's not right either.
Awareness.
Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. It's really hard to get into words the not sensation, the essence of not being attached to occupying a single point of the time-space continuum and moving from point to point, while nonetheless permitting that to occur as its natural state of occurrence, but from everywhere at once. Look, my favorite biography of Guru Rinpoche. High above North Urgyen in the sky, there arose a bright, brilliant double dorji. It shone forth with rainbow-colored light, causing many sentient beings to experience many things. End of story. Now, isn't that a nice Namtar? It's a true one.
I'm a little confused by the sunlight thing. So in one practice, you go find a place and the sun is behind you and you're looking straight ahead.
Yep.
Then like for the starfish, you go.
You wait until the sun is actually behind a tree or a building.
But it moves.
Well, yes, you want it to be going even more behind rather than coming out from.
Okay.
Or you're going to have to get up when it comes out from.
Okay. But if it was in the sky over here, but I'm looking over there.
But no,
that's
because you're
still
looking
too
straight
bright.
up.
Uh-huh. Too bright.
Too bright. You don't want it anywhere that it can fall on your face.
Uh-huh. Thank you for that clarification.
Don't let the sun fall on your face while practicing this. Now, there are practices we let it get damn close. But that's not this, and that's why I'm always fixing yogis with eye problems. Yes.
So maybe I didn't catch it, but why does the off cushion experience wear off?
Because it's a nyam. If you, what maintains it is being on the cushion. That spreads into off cushion, but when you stop being on the cushion, there's nothing to spread into off cushion. And as long as you are differentiating between confusion and wisdom, you will be unhappy with the results of not staying on the cushion. Now, of course, the solution to this is to cease differentiating there. But you can't do that on purpose. So follow the map. Using these methods allow that to come to pass, where you don't mind being confused. It feels no different from being wise. Same flavor. Confusion and wisdom. Until that occurs, you will be most upset with the result of not spending time on the cushion, because yes, it's going to wear off. It's going to wear off anyway, because it's an experience, and experiences wear off, and then you die, at which point all of the experiences wear off. Except if you're clutching your pointy lumpishness, then you go spinning in death. If you are not clutching and attempting to maintain your pointy clumpishness, you allow that natural process of transformation there to occur naturally. So either in the first bardo, where you sit Tudam, and do get your family used to the idea that you might be sitting Tudam if you are strong Trekja meditators, and that they should friggin' leave you alone until you fall over. It's training the family is what allows Tudam to occur for the practitioner, not training the practitioner. Most of you can do it. Westerners do it just fine. It's getting the family to not freak out, getting them to support you in end stage into a position you can do it from, physical position, and then get them to leave you there while people come in and throw katas at you, which is usually not disturbing because they're very light. Many of you here are capable of pulling that off, a good Tudam sit for a few days in the first bardo. He'd train your family and your spouses, whatever. Whoever it is that's most likely to find you. Train them, teach them to recognize the signs of Tudam. Teach them to not poke at it. In Tudam, there is not morbid lividity, but don't be lifting up somebody's arm to see if it turned blue on the bottom. You may assume it is Tudam. Guru Rinpoche's Namtar, I just told you. Your family needs to be capable of experiencing you sitting Tudam. If they can't experience it, and you're with them, you can't either. Clump. So train the family.
Can you elaborate on that more?
You're a clump, you're not an individual. For your body to go into Tudam, it needs to be an agreement between the bystand, to perceive this, a perceptual agreement, between the bugs in your gut, the neurons in your brain, and the bystanders in the room. Without that agreement in that story can't be told. Train the family.
Can you be a little more specific on how to train the family or spouse or?
Teach them to assume that the corpse is in Tudam unless strong evidence to the contrary occurs.
Okay. Thank you.
So Tudam is meditation? Or?
It's the meditation after death. We call it, to avoid bothering coroners, final coma. However, the heart rate is and the breathing are not detectable.
So, and you refer to that also as the first bardo?
Yes. The person is experiencing the first bardo. Those around them are experiencing that they are sitting in Tudam. Rinpoche, Wangdo Rinpoche was sat there for about, was it a week? 10 days? It's quite long. 3 days is a good one. If they sit too long, it is not good. Not much past 10 days. Then you want to wake them up. Formless realms. You could have a little accident there.
How do you wake them up? Just push them over, or?
Hit them with pet or hung,
Thank you.
or just tap them here.
Upper.
Yeah.
What is it? There's beer and day watching.
Hmm?
There's beer and day watching.
That is said
different one.
during the absorption of the earth element. If they want some beer.
I know this is not a Bardo teaching, but is to them an indication that the practitioner achieved liberation, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had one student manage it for about 12, 14 hours. But I was working with the family and with him. I mean, he was terminal diagnosis and we were working together towards the end, and he was a very strong Trekchö meditator. Rinpoche had a student, God, what was her name? It's a little hippie chick up in Marin. Who'd have thought it, but she followed the instructions. Anastasia? Annapurna.
Michael Brockman.
So Annapurna sat for at least 3 days, if not a week. She'd already been sitting there for a while when they found her. So it is possible, but it is very dependent on the family, the surrounding folks, being able to perceive it. Otherwise, that story will not be told here. It's why we have so much trouble with Westerners managing to go rainbow. Westerners manage to go rainbow just fine over in Tibet. Because that story can be told among Tibetans. They can perceive the rainbows and the clothes left. Lord knows what they'd make of it here. But nobody has yet managed in this environment to manifest that. You need to be surrounded by students who could see that, whose assumptions of reality would not interfere.
So when the...
Oh, and if somebody's in Tudam, do not say they're dead. You'll get arrested. We're in America.
Final coma.
They are in their final coma. Please, we do not wish to disturb them. Hospice, no, you don't need to come. They're in their final coma. We would prefer to have just family here until they finish.
So, did you say that when the student is in Tukdam, that is liberation?
Liberation in the first bardo.
And then when they fall over, they fall back into samsara?
No. However, should they happen to hold bodhisattva vows, they will remain liberated but continue to manifest. So they might tulku, they might manifest as 6 beings or a statue. Lord knows what they're going to manifest as. It will depend on what story is possible in that time and place.
So we're talking about the end of the life process. We're not talking about they'll wake up and then come back to
No, you don't come back.
meditation. Right, okay, I just wanted to clarify
No, not
that.
from Tudam.
Okay.
The heart stopped.
And the inner breath stopped? Or it's, right, okay.
The chi is still in the channels. because you're gonna see Tudom is the first bardo. It occurs before you get the nominal aphasia. Sorry, give me a moment. Visions, thank you. Before you get all the visions. So what happens is the lower red and the upper white come down and meet in the heart and encapsulate. That's when Tudom can occur. After that, then when Tudom ends, the chi withdraws from the channels of the brain and the trunk and the legs and feet, and that causes the visions of the peaceful and fierce archetypes. And that's where you go for the intensity.
What do you mean? That's when you go for the intensity?
You will have a choice in there repeatedly of very intense experience or soft, gentle experience. If you did not actually attain enlightenment in the first bardo, then in that choice, if you choose for the most intensive experiences, you can be enlightened in the second bardo. But you have to really jump for the middle of it. You've got to have enough gonzo there for the second bardo. First bardo does not require gonzo.
Gonzo as far as stability? No.
No, Hunter S. Thompson gonzo. Somebody explain that.
Boldness?
Energy. Daringness.
Very strong
Chutzpah.
Yeah.
Fire all of your guns at once and blast off into space. If that's always been the fantasy that catches you, you'll do better in the second bardo than the first. First bardo is really easy for peaceful folks. Om Shanti, release. Second bardo is like, yeah, bring it on.
Is Tukdom when there's still a warmth at the
Yeah.
heart center?
But don't be touching there
Ah,
to find out. Don't touch someone in Tudom. It can be a fragile state, depending on how easily distracted the clump was. The shape of the clump was easily distracted. Okay, then if you touch them, you're going to distract them.
thank you.
What happens to the practitioner when you are distracted in Tudom? What happens to consciousness then?
They go to the next bardo.
Okay.
If they're distracted, they recoalesce. Now, if they actually let go in the first bardo, rather than just went for Om Shanti Om, there is enlightenment there. However, it is not guaranteed. Tudom is a sign of an excellent practitioner. It could be a sign that leads one to believe that they attained enlightenment in that bardo. But enlightenment doesn't have ises and isn'ts. It's not like you are or you aren't. You can't put that ises and isn't strip on enlightenment. It don't fit. It's too big. It's not like you're not enlightened now and then someday you're going to get enlightened. Come on, guys, you know that. Let mother and child luminosity unite. The trekcha taught by the teacher in the pointing out, in the four wongs. And that which has always been your true nature, recognize they're the same thing and there's nothing else to do. And yet, keep walking, keep talking.
So if in Tukdom you are able to do that, will the second bardo still appear?
Yes, but not to anyone.
Oh.
Yes.
But
For those interested in Tukdom, there's a documentary available, recently released, available on Amazon Prime Video.
Who's it by? What's it called?
Tukdom, and I can't remember the film, but it's about, it shows actually what it is.
Very good.
And different teachers. And the whole
Got any
process-
Westerners in the managed to get filmed?
No.
Damn. You guys need the encouragement. Thank you, Anna Perda.
It's in Tibetan.
It's in Tibetan.
Okay. I think there's subtitles for English.
Gotcha. Okay. I wonder who made it. I'll go look at that.
Very good.
But remember, Tudam, remember it's not, you aren't singular. Look, we can show this right now. You can see it right now. Look out your own eyes. In this moment, the clump, the pointy clump that is yourself, and also the awareness that's looking out your own eyes. Those are not two separate things. They're two versions of the same thing. The seer and what it sees are not separate. This you, your personality, your belief systems, this pointy clump, how'd you get to be in the shape you're in? You interacted with others. Every book you ever read, every movie you ever saw, the author of that. That's an interaction. It changed you. Every conversation you ever had, everything you caught going by from the corner of your eye, it changed you. There's no you separate from all the shit that's going on around you. You're a clump, not an entity. Notice this for yourself. Don't take my word for it. It's not just a clump of your biome and your neurons. It's a clump of every influence that has brought you to be whoever you are in this very moment. And the story that you say and the story that the person next to you says all mix in together to create the clump. If everybody it can go both ways. Even a very beautiful woman, if everyone around her thinks she's ugly, will be seen as ugly by everyone around her. Conversely, even a very ugly woman who has, snaggle teeth and giant nose and all the things that you would call ugly, if she's absolutely sure that she's beautiful, everyone else will come to agree with that. And she will be much wanted for her beauty. Interactive, interpenetrating reality. It's what makes Bodhicitta real. The emptiness, the unreality of all the stories is sunyata. The interactivity of all the stories, interpenetrating, interconnected, interchanging each other, is Bodhicitta. Come together as Guru Yoga. The union of mother and son luminosity. Guru Yoga. How all Buddhas arise as all Buddhas by their bootstraps. Us. Ge wandi nyur dudag chi chi sala go pashu. We are complete back here at 2.
Three?
3. Back here at 3. Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama.
Thank you.
Let's make it 3:30.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah, we'll try.
It's just that where I'm staying is a little distant